All right, welcome in, guys. MTG GAME STATE. We are in the middle of Magic the Gathering Foundation's release, so it's kind of a mid-period for Magic cards. This is kind of the core set. So we're kind of have a lot going on, not a lot going on at the same time as far as news. Some of the Magic the Gathering 60-card formats I see have little tournament events, winnings, and just stuff popping off there. But as far as like big, crazy news, pretty light, but we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna switch on over as I stutter. Here we go. Yeah, I know. I look like the dude right now. What can I say? We're coming off of Thanksgiving, guys. Turn the lighting down a bit in the stew. And we're already ahead of ourselves in the articles. So, real quick, I just wanted to highlight what's going on in the Smoke Packs world. We have gotten a sponsorship, like a sponsorship affiliateship, an ambassador, I'd rather say, with the boys Aether Hub. I'll put the link in the description. And I urge any of the pack boys to go on Aether Hub, make an account, follow me. We'll get to that in a second. Shout out Jaffer, one of the boys. What's cool about this site, since they sponsored us, we get to contribute articles, we get to contribute videos to our YouTube stuff onto the page, and it gets featured. So like I said earlier before the segment, hey, there's one of our shows right there. Don't you like to see that? I won't bore you. Go to YouTube and watch it. But also, you can watch us featured on the main page of Aether Hub when we post up videos as well. So I like that. I think it's really cool. Helps the analytics out. Really fortunate and grateful and thankful they replied to the sponsorship application. That also includes a app when we play Magic Arena called MTGA Assistant. And what this is a nice little overlay for the stream, but as well as for me and anyone who has Magic Gathering Arena. Gives you like data of deck statistics, set summary of what you have collected, what the ranked ladder is, all the creators on the Twitch scene and YouTube scene are doing. Your collection summary. The draft helper I think is cool because it gives you like a rating of what cards people are drafting. So you get to like kind of see what's spicy, kind of pick from a big pool of people's opinions from there. And just like extra stuff like that. I know there's tons of stuff, Magic stuff that like does this, but MTGA Assistant replied back to the application. Extremely fortunate, extremely thankful. And when we go live, if we have certain tags, since I'm not doing hardcore Magic stuff, I don't want to be featured like this. But shout out to boy Jaffer. We'll give him a quick follow. He streams Arena, it seems. If this will load. And he's one of the content creators for Aether Hub, of the one of many. Everyone can apply. Looks like he's walking away, but we'll give him a quick follow. So we're gonna give him a shout out in chat. That's kind of what I've been a part of. That's kind of what I'm doing now. We'll schmooze him a bit later. But shout out Jaffer. I see him on the main page a lot. He seems like he's one of the Aether Hub big boys. So feel free to give him a little follow. We'll schmooze him for sure. He seems like a nice guy. He's also a fellow Midwesterner. I see he's a Wisconsinite. And I'm an Illinoisian. Illinoisian? Brothers in the struggle, that's all I can say. I know, isn't that crazy, Psychor? So, in lieu of news, I guess that's what's going on in my life. Like I said, we're in the Magic the Gathering Foundation set. This is a good time to get into Magic cards. This is kind of like the core set on steroids. The hidden Magic 30 set we've been saying. Magic 30th anniversary. Just going through Magic's past, half the set is new cards, half the set is old cards like Land of War Elves or 9 Lives Familiar and Badass Art. Enchantments have the new little enchantment creature frame update moving forward. Sanguine Bond on a stick as a creature, love to see it. So the set's already out, and we're kind of at the end of the month for November. Love that burp. That's like a 4. That's a 4. And I'd recommend, if you're going to get into this, besides buying like a booster pack, getting one of the pre-release bundles if you could find it at your local game store, or one of just the collection bundles, starter collection bundles, because you're gonna get a lot of packs. You're gonna play a mat. You're gonna get your started into a game, and gives you cards that you can fuck around with your friends. It's not gonna be like learning Commander, but it's gonna be at least getting your beak wet, so to speak, on Magic cards in general, because it's not just all about the stuff I play on Smoke Packs. There's other avenues of Magic cards you'd want to get into. So that's that. And I think we're just going to get into the market watch. So going in on this, since we're going to be moving forward with end of the month, every Friday we're going to feature 4 cards on MTG Game State Market Watch, right? And at the end of the month, I want to write an article for the Aether Hub featuring all the cards. That should be like 16 to 20 cards. And more in-depth, where are they now, why we picked them, stuff like that. So we're going to try and make some interesting things going on here. So moving on, when I pick cards in my market research, I'm going to try and be a bit more aggressive, so to speak, on my information and just digging on what cards to pick. That being said, this one feels a little weird, kind of common, kind of like, what are you doing? Xenagos got a Revel's Enchantment Creature card, but not the original printing. The Lost Caverns of Ixalan Commander set printing. And this is a 5-drop, 3 and 2 red, Legendary Enchantment Creature God, one of the original God cycles. Now they have the God cards thrown out wherever. Very polytheistic here now. It's indestructible, which we always see on these cards. As long as your devotion to red and green is less than 7, Xenagos isn't a creature. So if you have your devotion is the little color pips in your little color cost here, your mana cost. If your devotion is less than 7, so if you have enough cards on the field between green and red that's less than 7, he's going to be just an indestructible enchantment. But when you hit 7, he'll be a 6/5 creature that you could swing with, okay? Why that's important is, at the beginning of combat on your turn, I guess it doesn't hit him. Keywords, reading the card explains the card. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gains haste and gets +X, where that, till end of turn, where X is that creature's power. So he's actually going to target other creatures, not himself, but you still get a big 6/5 to swing with, which I like to see. Legal in a lot of formats besides Standard and Pauper, which doesn't matter. Commander's big because he got reprinted in that, but why I picked him for this, he's relevant in a Grixis Pioneer deck. He's still being used in the 60-card formats, guys. I still believe, as of November 3rd, okay? Shout out Robin Banks. And we'll put the deck list in the description so you can see what the deal is, but it seems like he's also being used, I forgot a while ago, and we'll get into his finance real quick. There's more to the story. I'm just getting way too ahead of myself. So, average listing on TCG Player, you're gonna see him for 14 bucks. His market listing's gonna be still, well, I mean, the market's buying at 14 as well, close to 15. We could say, we could round him up to a $15 card, maybe even a $10, depending on what kind of printing you're buying and where. His other prints are still 10. He's got a Secret Lair for 22. I think for just a new released reprint in a EDH precon, this is just gonna adjust to where all the other, it's just gonna catch up to where all the other cards are at, you know what I'm saying, of its print, of its variant, for all my Marvel Snap heads, okay? We can see it's kind of trending up to 15 anyways. But again, we're seeing it in relevancy from a deck last year and in a current deck, like we said. Giant Worm, one of only 2 creatures in a powerful Izzet deck. Izzet is blue-red mana combined. If you're going to build around those colors, it's called Izzet. And in this article, it just talks about a list that only has 1 creature, so to speak, which is Worldspine Worm. And technically, it'd be 2, but you're not going to get to that because you're really only using, it's just like a crazy weird combo that they must use during Pro Tour Phyrexia to just cheat out a big creature, go Stompy mode, and hope to God Xenagos doubles that, and we just end the game and move on. So we'll have the article. I don't want to get too deep into it. I want you guys to do your own research and read. The VOD will be in the YouTube. You guys can read the article of MTG Rocks. Shout out Ben McCready. I don't want to read the words of a man that you could just read and do your own research on. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, get ahead of ourselves, Xenagos, I picked him for the card number 1. It's also a card that has a special place in my heart. Yeah, we got a whole agenda we must execute, Psycor. Welcome in. Welcome to the segment. And now, that being said, why we were opening and we took that one chance on the one pack for Duskmourn was for card number 2, Screaming Nemesis. This card is hot AF. I'm currently using it, not the borderless I'm scared before I die print. Just the normal print I wanted to get into. This card's hot. It's being used in standard all over the place in the mono reg, aggro decks. Pioneer, we're seeing it. I use it in the arena, my arena standard build as well, so really good card. What it is, it's a 3-drop spirit creature for 3. It's a 3/3 body with haste. When it's dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any other target. If a player is dealt damage this way, they can't gain life for the rest of the game. That is the big part. So I can just have them out even if I don't attack. I'll block with them fine. Then I'm going to deal damage to the target. If I choose you, the player, you're not going to gain life the whole game, and that could shut out a lot of strategies. The main card, it's legal and standard, obviously, and that's why it's hot. It's seeing a market price of $34.31. Average, that's what people are buying it at, but on average, people are listing it for 36 bucks. So it's creeping up to be the heavy hitter chase card you want for the Duskmourn standard set. I'm not saying you could grab a box of Duskmourn and flip into this, but it is what is probably going to hold up the current price of Duskmourn's price point for that set. Okay, you feel me? All right. Moving on to card number 3, and this is another weird one, but I think it's kind of going to make sense as we get into it. But I saw this in the research and I thought it was really interesting. It's a blue card. As I digress, Serpent of Yawning Depths. Boom, he's him. And not the secret lair, but that is going to be part of the story. Theros Beyond, Return to Theros set. I know people sleep on this set, I think. You got Shadow Sphere in the set. A lot of other hidden bangers are in the set. Croaks is in the set. The other green-blue, was that? He's not a god, but he's like a giant, elder giant. Name escapes me right now, obviously. He's in the set. You get what I'm saying? But why this card's weird, so is this. He's a 4 and 2 blue, so that's a 6, I had to count there. Serpent enchantment creature. We love the enchantment creatures lately. Krakens, Leviathans, Octopuses, and Serpents you control can't be blocked except by Krakens, Leviathans, Octopuses, and Serpents. The market listing, average listing is $9.65. Market's buying at $10.30, so it's being cranked up. People are getting wherever they can. Again, we're seeing it in a former standard set from the 2020 era. It's weird. I think it's really realistic, and it's like, why that? And it's very niche that it's hitting only Leviathans and Krakens. I realistically think it's because the Commander is some weird niche modern or legacy decks I really couldn't find in my research. Another is that it's just printed in Secret Lair, and like we said, cards that have premium sets or only have one kind of printing and are doing weird things are going to tend to have just high price points. This is kind of in the Sea Serpent typo overall. My friend Nick, shout out Nick, you know who you are. When we first started playing Magic cards, he went in on a Kraken Leviathan build. So there is some relevancy in this creature type. It was just very weird, you know? So I wanted to bring that up for our third card. And that's why I wanted to sound the alarm on it too, by the way. You should probably be looking for this card, have it in your collection. It's an enchantment creature. Even if you're not using it for the Serpents build, you can, because you can make creature types change. Even if you don't have Serpents, you can have artifacts and stuff change creature types to help this boost your shit in Commander. So again, sound the alarm on this. Sorry, I saw it in my notes. Just like, whoa. And now our fourth card, our honorable mention, ya boy, rest in peace, the most controversial, Mana Crypt. But I wanted to highlight the cheapest print, the Double Masters printing. Originally printed in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s book, back when Magic had the story as like a book, just like sci-fi, any of my sci-fi heads or fantasy heads. You guys remember books? You remember all that stuff? you get what I'm saying? The fantasy writers, high fantasy and all that. Magic really leaned into that to sell their product and grow their fan base and tell their story. Mana Crypt was originally printed in a promo. It was a promo. It was a media promo in a book. There it is. Some of the guys, even the Shoutout McCream team, they have them. Matt Liddell had pulled this card at one time in his life. It commands a high price. It's only printed in like crazy premium sets. We know. It got recently banned in Commander, pissing off everyone who plays competitive to aggressive Magic Commander format, and just even the casual players at the kitchen table, because they're like, what does that mean? What? So the Double Masters we're seeing market is buying at 61 cents, $61.70. My bad, it's not that trash, guys. Average listing is $79.98, so almost an average listing of $80. Let's round up here, come on. Banned in Legacy, not legal in Modern, Pioneer, Historic, whatever. Restricted in Vintage, banned recently in Commander, making the news as a poster child along a couple other cards. So look at that big. Let's get a little. Oh, now you don't want to zoom in. Look at that dip. Look what they did to my boy. Psychor, look what they did to my boy. So the market kind of reacted. Everyone flipped out. You know, big stores, when they have large volume of product, they're going to affect the market price of just all cards and printing and variants around the market of these types of things, because they're tournament cards, they're pieces. Everyone's going to want to get at them. Okay. Why I have an honorable mention on this is it's not dead, guys. It's not dead. It's restricted in Vintage, meaning you can only have one of it instead of 4. Maybe even 2, but I think it's 1. We're seeing in Merfolks, Is It Aggro, Workshops, Fire Ice, Underworld Breach, 8cast, Urza, Esper, Shops, Oath. It's still being used. It's still being played. The Commander community does not set the price of cards as much as I would like to believe and love for it too. There's other Magic formats and avenues, like we explained, where you can get in Magic cards and play your way. If you just want to draft and go to the store, fine. If you just want to have a deck to play one time a year with your homies, fine. Any format, anyway. So I just want to say, I know we made a big stink. We're like, my $100, $200 card's going down. But we're still seeing the big banger cards still keeping up to like an average of like $280, $300. So like, it's not like that crazy. The media promo is always going to command a high price, whether there's like cards, decks using it or not. But it's just, again, honorable mention, it's still relevant. It's pinging the checkboxes of being used in 60 card formats, which is important. And the older the format, like Vintage, not Legacy, Vintage, I'd say the more important that is as a piece to have for your collection and strat. So yeah, that's MTG Game State. Really appreciate everyone for hanging in there, letting me yap at you. And yeah.